lake monsters, black cats, Bigfoot, swamp cats on Hailing Island, and they do exist. Ask John Downs if John comes on call, he'll tell you.
Yeah.
And to spirits, to ghosts, to phenomena, to UFOs, to anything. Welcome for joining us if you are on recorded. We've got quite a bit. We've got Paul, the co-host down on the bottom there. He has host for Ghost.
Hi, good evening.
To see him on Facebook. And we have Daniel on the top here, Mythical Legends, and founder basically of Bigfoot UK Bigfoot Research Group, which we're all part of. We're proudly part of, and hopefully next year a bit more active. I will also add, we know it's December, and we know people have got lives as well. So if you don't have a chance to watch it all in one go, make sure you do over the course of now and this year. But no, anything paranormal. If you do have a question, please just put a comment in. It'll come up on the right hand side of my screen. If you haven't gone to StreamYard, please put your name beside it so we all know who to address. And then all I do is basically click up here, and it will show it straight on the screen. All right. So it's question Luke time, and we want to know where Luke is. Luke, can you please come on?
Earth calling Luke. Earth calling Luke.
Basically, we're always looking for new content. If you want to come on and speak, and so forth. Oh, I see somebody's messaged me back here. Kids sorted, and I will come on. That's Dora. Good
Dora.
One. I'm sure she's watching it.
So we'll also have
this is Shane coming on.
Hey.
Hi,
Hi,
Shane.
Shane.
How are you doing, mate? All right.
Hi, Shane.
I finally done it.
Welcome to Monday Night Live.
Yeah.
All right, I worked today. The first time I've done all this. I'm not very good with computers, but yeah.
It's fine.
Hello, everyone.
It's really difficult, yeah.
Well, welcome aboard anyway.
If you use Firefox browser, Firefox won't let StreamYard come through the firewall, yeah? So you'll sit there and it will keep going. So use Chrome browser or something like that. Click on the link and it will bring you straight onto us, mate, or whatever stream Daniel decides to send you.
Yeah. That's what I haven't got a clue, mate. I haven't got a clue. What you just said then went on my head. I've got a phone. I got a phone in front of me. I do a little bit of Facebook, whatever. I spoke to you a minute ago, Daniel, didn't I? You sent me this link. You said copy and paste. I didn't even know what that was. So,
wallpaper, isn't it? Copy and pasting.
Listen, if you want me to build an extension for you, I can, but I can't operate a computer.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry.
We've been doing.
But you must have done all right, though, mate. You're on.
Yeah, I know. I think I fluked it.
Yeah.
I pressed the wrong button, but it worked.
Well, we're still not used to it yet. We've been doing this since January, and I mean, you can tell by my hands I haven't worked in an office all my life. Yeah. And computers are, as you say, build an extension, but nah. And if you want any communication from me, message the missus. She'll kick me up the backside. Daniel will tell you. So, you're a cryptid researcher, are you, Shane? Or
I wouldn't like to say that. No, it's a bit of a weird one, really, because I'd class myself as a normal guy that just didn't really care about anything unusual. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just went through life just working, paying me way, or trying to pay me way, getting into debt.
Yeah.
And I'd probably say I had since this COVID came about, I had this great awakening. I sort of something woke me up. And when I said that, the dream that I had, it was a vivid dream with these two sort of ape-like creatures talking to each other face to face in gibberish in a language.
Yeah.
I woke up and it was so vivid. it was that I could see all the details on the face, the eyes, and everything else. And I thought, wow, what's all that about? That's crazy. So I started I got onto the great YouTube, and typed in Bigfoot, and then that tunnel opened up, and I went down it. I had no idea these things existed. I remember seeing the Patterson and Gimlin footage when I was a child, about 9 or 10, thinking, oh, there's a a monster out in the woods, but you just get on with life and you don't even think about things. I grew up in the Forest of Dean, and I was always, I was walking from village to village at 12 o'clock at night when in my teens, and a friend of ours, a friend of ours, he was a bit dappy, like, he was well into his like werewolves and vampires and this, that, and the other at the age of 15, 16. He was a bit older than us, but my brother said, oh yeah, he got chased out of the wood by something years ago, and I took it with a pinch of salt, didn't think of it, and my brother reminded me of it then, and I thought, well, do you know what, maybe he wasn't telling lies after all these years, but he's no longer with us. He died. But anyway, going back to my sort of vivid dream, I woke up a bit crazed, I was thinking, well, what the hell was that all about? That was weird. Showed no interest in anything before, so something come to me and said, look, wake up and start researching and start looking into things. So I looked at these Bigfoot, and I thought, well, do you know what? There's so many reports, there's so many encounters. This is obviously in America and Canada. And I thought, well, maybe these things do exist. And what, this dream really, well, then I sort of, I live in the Forest of Dean in Gloucestershire. So we're surrounded by thousands and thousands of acres of woodland. So I thought, sure, I'm going to Google to see if there is a UK Bigfoot, because I heard about the Australian one, the Yowie. And I thought, well, if it lives in other countries, maybe it lives in the forest, in the UK. And then, I found out that there were sightings in the UK. There was somebody close to Bristol on the train, apparently, seeing a Sasquatch or something very similar walking across the fields whilst he was on a train. So there was reports of that. There was some reports in where was it? Cornwall, where some people got chased out the woods. So I thought, well, you know what? There's got to be something, and in the Forest of Dean, there's got to be something that I can find up there. So I ventured out, and I found all these amazing tree structures and tree bends, breaks, and things that looked unusual. So I do venture out and I do find things. Now I know what I'm looking for on a regular basis. And as I said to Daniel, it can, if I jump in the car 10 minutes up the road, pull over a lay-by, get out in the woods, in my local woods just up the road, and I'll always find something. And I've sent you quite a few things now, Daniel, aren't I?
Yeah.
And I don't venture out on a regular basis as in search of it. I just go out. Now I got a dog. That's my excuse to go out in the woods anyway now. But I used to go out and do a little bit of foraging and just look for unusual things. And there's just hundreds and thousands of things up in the woods. Yeah, there's reports of whether they're mountain bikers in the forest not far from me, just out on the Welsh border. And they've had reports there. Funny enough, as I was building, we was going down to reclaim some roof tiles. And the guy I was working with at the time, we went down and we was talking to this lady who was collecting the tiles from. It was close to the forest where she lives. you know, we was talking about wild plants. She said she was out in the garden picking stuff, linden. She was having linden tea and this, that, and the other. And I pointed out 1 or 2 weeds in the garden, and I said, "Oh, well, they're edible and they're quite nice and they're good, you know, properties for certain things." And he said, "Don't listen." My mate's shirt tab, and he said, "Don't listen to him. He believes in Bigfoot." And she said, "Oh, funny enough, there was a guy that got chased out the wood just up here now a couple of weeks ago by some sort of airy creature." And I just looked at him and I said, "See, I said I told you there was weird things in the woods." So yeah, he was a typical Cockney that lives in the town, but he moved over about 20 years ago. So he thinks I'm a bit crazy anyway. So
but we did wonder whether these creatures were spiritual anyway. So it could be that in your dream, you know, we often ask the question, are they spiritual creatures? So it could be why it came to you in your dream. Yeah,
because I was telling Daniel now, my faith in God now is just because I've opened myself up on a different level, on a different spiritual, because I knew now I know these creatures exist, and I was saying to Daniel that believe it or not, it states in the Bible, probably not tells you exactly what they are or who they are or this, that, and the other. You got to work it out yourself. As you know, the Bible is a jigsaw puzzle, and you've got to break it down. But there is mention of creatures, and it says strange blood that was mixed from the Nephilim. I don't know whether you've heard of that, where giants were formed.
Yeah, also called in the Anakai. We found the skeletons of them.
That's right.
We're still digging them up now, mate. You've got to remember, all around the world, I mean, little by little, this planet's just been built up and built up and built up and built up. So there's things under there that we are never ever going to find. So yes, you're right. The giant people, and there was different versions of them as well.
Yes, and 2002, I think, in the Afghan War. If you want to Google the red-headed giants that was captured and killed by American soldier special forces.
That's the normal thing they do, kill them,
Yeah, that's right. Well, actually, because I think their colleagues were killed they were up in the mountains trying to seek out the Taliban, I think, apparently. They stumbled across this giant and it attacked them and killed them. The message got back to obviously their generals or whatnot, so they sent in the special forces and they went in there and they actually they shot it dead and killed it, but it did kill a fair few of their colleagues apparently. So that was an interesting read, and it's called The Red-Headed Giant of Afghanistan.
Right, okay. I'm not that. I've heard of it, but I didn't know if in Afghanistan. What year was that then?
That was 2002 in the Afghan War.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know if they recovered the body of it?
Well, they did. But actually, there were soldiers that said that they could see this. They pulled back the sheet as it was getting onto the aircraft because they was flying it back to America to do tests and things like that on it. But and the guy that was actually, if I recall, that he was saying that they pulled back the blanket to see the creature and see it, and they seen the rows of teeth, the two different rows of teeth, and they say that in the Nephilim, didn't they? In the giants, that they had 2 rows of teeth. They had 6 fingers as well.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot out there that we don't really know. You know, we don't. We're not adventurous enough, really, are we? You know, it's very rare that we ever go to the bottom of the sea. You know, what's below the waves that we don't know. And some of these forests are so vast, and these animals, these creatures, or whatever, can hide so well because they're designed to hide in that habitat.
Sorry.
Hang on,
well, mate. You have got a point there, but I beg to differ on 1 or 2 things. That we know more than what we let on. Or they tell us, because they try to keep us in the dark. The governments know, they're not daft. I mean, if they can do all this crazy things. They just don't want us knowing, because it brings us closer to God. Yeah. Because we look into it then and we think, well, hang on, there is a spiritual realm. We're not just evolved from monkeys and things like that, which I thought not so long ago, until I realised that the more research I've done, and I thought, well, what's the connection with the Bigfoot, with the Sasquatch and the Dog Man and all this sort of thing, the cryptids, and the Bible, because obviously there is a God, and why did he create these? And then I found out, the more you look into the Bible, God didn't create these creatures. He created the angels, which mated with women, creating giants called the Nephilim. And also in Jude, in the Bible, in Jude, it says they also mated with strange flesh. So meaning animals. So if they're a spiritual being, not necessarily have they got to mate like we mate, but they can mate, as in they can pass on a spiritual entity or something. I don't really know how they would copulate, but it does state in the Bible that the Watchers mated with. They found I think it's Genesis 6. They found the daughters of men beautiful, and they went in to defiled themselves and had children. And them children were giants of old, and they were called Nephilim. And then in Jude, in the back of the Bible, Jude before Revelations, it says about the Watchers, the fallen angels, as they are now, because they defiled themselves. They actually went into strange flesh, so they mated with animals. Where there is a fish god called, is it Dagon?
Yeah.
Have you heard? Yeah.
Dagon, the god. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So another thing, that were the Watcher angels have defiled themselves, and they've gone into fish, dogs, wolves, apes, and this is where we're getting these cryptids from, I feel, because this is a spiritual realm that we're in.
About, Shane, on a regular basis on this show, and I mean, Chris, myself, Paul's getting interested in the cryptids now. Daniel, obviously, he's the one that's responsible for the lot. Thank God he is. We've discussed many a time that if you get a map of the UK,
yes,
you look for UFO sightings, and then you put a pin in each one, you'll be putting the next pin for Bigfoot sightings and cryptids next to them. Yeah.
Yeah, they do say that they're connected somehow. So whether it's because they said in the Bible there's no aliens, they're just demons.
Yeah, I'm not religious. I'm not non-religious. I believe there's something up there that's huge. But I mean, as soon as I go near a church and I tell them that I can communicate with some really nice people that are no longer here, probably was the same. And I've tried this. You're not allowed to. They're demons. You're evil. Yeah. You're not allowed. But it's strange how when you go to church on a Sunday, the vicar's allowed to talk to them. I don't get this. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if anybody's familiar with the story of Sodom and Gomorrah in the Bible.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I mean, God basically, for a quick one, went down, told Lot, and you're the only good man left in the village. The village has gone bad, it's corrupt. I'm going to destroy the village. Be up the hill at noon, and whatever you do, you'll hear a huge explosion. Don't turn around. You must not look at the wrath of God. Yeah. Now, Lot's wife turned around. She's instantly turned into a pillar of salt.
That's correct. Yes.
So were the people in Hiroshima. Yeah. It's not almost like we've had the atom bomb before. I I mean, if you go back, I don't know about the blood strain. If you know about the blood strain, oh, here's Luke. Evening, Luke.
Hi, Luke.
You spoke. Huh?
What?
But there's a blood type, a negative blood type, which you can only trace back to 1500 years BC. And scientists, the people that dumb us down in the first place, have had to admit that there is absolutely no way that it could have just mutated. It had to be introduced by an alien strain. It had to be, beyond shadow of a doubt. Now, the interesting thing here as well is you can trace the throne right through the rise and fall of Rome, all the good and the bad and so forth, right the way back to the pyramids, when the Egyptians vanished, which was around 1500 BC. Now, a good friend of mine's on here, Justin, this evening, one of my best friends. He put this on here. Justin's intelligence levels well beyond mine, especially with electronics. I mean, that's nothing impressive. But yes, Daniel?
I will also say hi to Tim Gayhart from my group. I'm
right,
him
Tim. Good evening, mate. I wasn't sure whether it was Tim Stevens or good evening, mate. Thank you so much for joining us. But this is Justin here.
Hi, Justin. Welcome. And
Bo.
Tim, welcome to the group.
Mate, I wouldn't say that about you. You do not have to say that about yourself at all. All right. This is Paul up the top, who's the Peugeot guy I've been telling you about, Justin. Justin likes Renault Scenics.
French.
I got a Renault Traffic.
Oh, never mind.
That's all I can afford.
Well,
and it keeps breaking down.
This is another theory. We've got when you read the Bible, there's so many stories that you can relate to events within our world that we've lived or our grandparents have. But there's another side of the paranormal that I've been really interested in for many years. And when you search from the Anakai and the people that you're on about, Shane, have you ever looked into the reptilians?
Yeah, the Anunnaki, yeah?
Have a look into reptilians. They're also shapeshifters.
They're commonly known as skin crawlers, aren't they? Shapeshifters. Yeah. They're very associated with
skinwalkers.
Yeah.
They're
very associated with the Native Americans, aren't they, Darren?
Yeah.
The shapeshifter skin crawlers.
The reptilians are subterranean creatures, and they are. Now, I haven't got into too far on this, but everything I've researched on it makes sense. Well, it doesn't make sense. That's why it makes sense. Now, they're supposed to be concentrated in the outback of Australia, New Zealand, and New York. Now, in the outback of Australia, we know there's hundreds of people go missing every single year. All right. New Zealand, they don't actually keep a head count. Okay. That's why when the old convicts came about, they went, well, we don't really know. Yeah. And in New York, in a 3-year period, there was 5,000 children went missing. Now, when questioned, the New York authorities went, well, that's perfectly normal. If you had 5,000 children went missing in London, it would create waves, or maybe not, because they turn around and say, it's perfectly normal. And because it was broadcast on the BBC or ITV, we'd all believe it. Well, sorry, I don't believe it. It doesn't cut any mustard with me. There's tourists gone on holiday to New York, and they've actually got pictures, video evidence of these eyes coming out of drains and whatever. It's time to research it all. Have a look at reptilians. It was supposed to have been part of the Montauk experiment where they tried to cross a reptilian with a human. There are a lot of people that are very clever, intelligent people that have led me onto the path of reptilian life, that also believe that they are in places of authority as well. So it's another only way for you to investigate, Shane. Yeah. I mean, I've got a load of cryptids behind me here. I mean, I'm not too far away from Pompey football ground. The kickoff's at 8 o'clock, so there's a lot.
Oh, right. Yeah. There's a load of cryptids there, then.
Yeah.
Right.
We've got Nigel. He's made it. Look
Nigel.
Hey, Nigel.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. What, Nigel? No, we can't hear you, mate. Sorry.
You've been mute. He's muted you, Nigel. Watch it.
I'm totally now.
He's got the mute button.
Go in.
Now that brings us on to the next question, really. Which I'll just put on the banner on the bottom for us. Yeah.
It's Luke.
Yeah.
Is there anybody there in the dark?
Yeah.
Well, Luke,
Darren.
I will say, Luke, I was on a video chat with Darren probably an hour before this live, and he sat there for an hour laughing at that he was laughing at himself because he tried to make you laugh.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Daniel's the sort of bloke, when he's older, he'll take you down the pub and you'll be at the bar and he'll go, and he'll go home and he'll go, do you know what? He's got us through. Yeah.
Here we go.
But you know, then when you come onto these, going back to it, I mean, like reptilian life, the Anakai, this blood strain that's been introduced, Bigfoot, skinwalkers, Dogman, all these sort of things. The skinwalker ranch, for instance.
Yeah.
I mean,
Darren, I don't think there's a rabbit hole I haven't been down yet. I think for the last 4 years now, every night that TV's on 24 hours. Well, it's on through the night. Seriously, and I do so much research in everything that I come across. So yes, I do know of the alien. They are demonic. I reckon that these all these reptilians are. They say they're draconian.
Draconian.
Yeah. I don't know whether you're familiar with TommyTruthful.com.
Yeah, I've heard of that one.
Tommy Truthful TV. Now that's amazing. I'll tell you, it fries your brain with the knowledge that they do. They do everything on numerology. Everything is set in numbers and it's all pre-planned. So we've got all these elites. Yeah, they're all connected to secret societies, and they don't worship God. Put it that way. And they want complete control of the world. Yeah, the one world order, the one world army.
I think you and me should have another chat, Shane. Honestly, we should. You know, no, seriously. Because the reason being, I mean, a lot of people. We'll have another chat. Yeah, I'd love to have another chat with you. You know, a lot of people that it's too new to. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people, unless they've done their own research, I'm pretty sure you've spoken to a lot of people and said, you'll never guess what I found up. And they've gone, oh, don't be so stupid. You're a do
you know what, Darren, right? Nobody that I know speaks to me about anything.
There you go.
Because they don't get me. They don't understand. These sort of this great awakening that I've had, yeah. To most people, they think I'm crazy. They think I'm doolally because I've stuck my head down and I've tried researching everything that I can. And it does.
I will have another chat with you.
Definitely.
You work during the days, do you?
Yeah, I'm a general builder, but I'm semi-retired, and if it's raining, I try not to.
Right. I'll be in. I've got to take a mate to the airport tomorrow, and then so it seems drop his girlfriend back afterwards because she didn't realise we were going back until. Oh God. Daniel was on the chat when I was talking to him on the phone, and I think is that V.
That's Tim.
Is that Tim?
Tim?
Well, Tim, if you're on the same wavelength, you're more than welcome to join myself when I speak to Shane. It'd be good to have a chat, Shane. Honestly, mate.
Yes,
I'm on a live stream and it is on YouTube. All right. The reason I'm sort of putting the brakes on a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. I can understand that now. I was getting a bit carried away because it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. But I will say, just because you said that you're not a religious person, do you not believe it? Do you not believe in God?
I believe in something like a God.
Right.
But
can I just ask you to do some research on a guy called Ron Wyatt?
Yeah.
Ron Wyatt. Yeah, he's a Christian, but also he's an historian. He wants to find out the facts in the Bible. And when you said about Sodom and Gomorrah, and God's rained brimstone and sulfur balls down upon on the cities and destroyed it. Well, he actually found the sulfur balls still embedded in the rocks. So there was proof in that one, right? So if you we won't go too much into it, but I'm just saying.
I mean, the only thing with YouTube is they go on different words and so forth. And I was up in London in 2020, and somebody right up the top towards Trafalgar Square had a banner which said something YouTube didn't agree with, and I got banned for it. Because you weren't allowed to say anything about anything that you thought. Unfortunately, the world we live in, you can say anything you want as long as they don't mind.
No, that's true. That's very true. That's very true.
I mean, Nigel's another man that I'm sure won't disagree with what we're saying, but again, we can't say too much here. But it seems you've had a wonderful wake up, and when you said I went through an awakening at the start of the convict, I went, oh my God, here's another one that probably even went to parks at 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning, I would guess. Did you ever attend a stand in the park at all? Or
did I what, sorry?
Ever go to a stand in the park?
No.
We'll have a chat, mate. I will have a chat, yeah?
Definitely.
You're only up the road from me anyway. I'm only in Portsmouth, so there's only one bad thing. You've got to go past Daniel's house to get to each other. And
how dare you, Chris? Did you hear that?
Where are you?
They're bullying me.
Yeah, Daniel, you're gonna have to just suck it up, princess. They're bad people. All right.
Thanks, mate.
Well, Paul, you had a story you wanted to tell us.
That Saturday night at the Bugle.
Right, guys. Nigel, Luke, myself, Paul's missus, Luke's mum. Yeah. Now Luke's mum. Yeah. Don't get confused. She's not like Stifler's. All right.
Dora.
You can tell, Shane, we have a laugh, mate. Yeah, we have a laugh. All right, Dora. And Dora was there as well, Dora. Hang about. I've even got something. There you go. This is Dora.
Got your name in lights, Dora.
We did an investigation at a Bugle Hotel in a place called Pitchfield. It's the oldest village in Hampshire, and very interesting as well. I got asked to go over. Dora came over, my missus and whatever. We went over. We saw loads of things. I said to Paul and Jen and Julia and whatever, I said, let's go over and we did it. Nigel, we had a fantastic night, absolutely fantastic night. It was a paranormal investigation. My God, I reckon as a collective we do at least 14 a year together, and we all do separate investigations as well. So we're probably doing 20 investigations a year each. We debunk more than we actual document, and that's the name of the game. I call it the 20-80. Yeah, 20%, 80% on everything. If you look at marketing or sales on anything, you always get a 20% sale rate and an 80% they don't buy or they cancel. And I don't know how it works. It goes through, but it goes through everything. So I would say, what do you reckon, Paul? 20% of the stuff we get works around there?
Yeah, I would have thought so. Around about 20% of it we can't explain. 80% we try and explain. That's generally down to normal movement, house movement, boards. You know, we go in for every investigation as very much skeptics, because
absolutely,
you know, we want the house. We don't need to prove the house is haunted. We want the house to prove to us that it's haunted. You know, because we could say, "Oh, you got a haunted house," and people would believe that, because the power of suggestion is massive.
Absolutely.
It's a very massive thing. So we go in as very much as skeptics and allow the house, the spirits, whatever, to talk to us. You know, and we try and get the history and what's happened and why they're there. We never research going in. We only research coming out, really.
Well, I mean, that I couldn't say it better myself. I mean, we do try and debunk as much as we can, and Saturday was no different at all. We started off 8 o'clock, didn't we? Well, about 8:10.
Yeah.
We all had a sit-down meal. Some people had chips and a can of drink.
A loud portion of chips and a can of drink.
Was it a large portion? Yeah. Anyway, and Paul, where was your experience in the Bugle? I mean,
well, myself and Luke, we wandered around a bit, haven't we, Luke? And then we decided, there's feedback on this. We decided to go right up to the very top, the cold room, as they called it. And everybody explained it's always cold in this room. It's never warm. Yeah. So me and Luke decided we were going to go up there, didn't we? We went up with my video camera, you know, with all the gear, voice recorder, didn't we, Luke?
You did,
so I'd left my voice recorder downstairs in the back room. And when I played it back and Sarah was there with me, you could hear children laughing on it. A clear laugh. And a hello. Really? Yeah. When I had the robot out, the robot was moving around. You could hear the children laughing. You asked Sarah. I'll play it to you next time I see you, Dan. So me and Luke decided we'd go upstairs, didn't we, Luke, to have a look?
Yeah.
So we sat in this room and we were calling out, and we thought we saw a shadow, didn't we? And various things were going on. The REM pod was going off all the time.
Absolutely.
You know, and then we're saying, you know, if you're here, can you make a noise? And there was a little tap, wasn't there, Luke? And so we went in the bathroom, had a look around. Obviously, nobody there. And then we were sitting there saying, if there's any spirit here would like to interact with us, can you open the door? And the door to the room actually opened, didn't it, Luke? We thought we saw shadows under the door first, because we'd lost all the light of the hallway. And I sort of looked at Luke and said, did you see is that someone up here? But we shouted out, you know, if anybody's here, come into the room. Come on, come in. It's okay. And nobody came in, but the door opened. And I looked at Luke when...
Well,
sorry?
Didn't you have a door slam? Was that you that had the door slam?
No, we had the door open and shut a couple of times. Okay.
Right, okay, that's interesting.
And then, I don't know, 30 seconds, a minute later, Luke, wasn't it?
Yeah, around that, yeah.
And then Julia and, what was his name? Aaron?
Ryan.
Ryan. We heard them. They came in the door, but the weirdest thing is, they came in and shut the door behind them, but they stood there, and we said, "Oh, was you here 30 seconds earlier?" And they stood motionless. They did not move, and they sort of looked at us, didn't they, Luke?
Yeah, did
we were both saying, "Were you up here 30 seconds ago?" And they stood like time had frozen, hadn't it, Luke? They just stood and didn't move, didn't acknowledge us, didn't answer the question. Then suddenly Julia said, "Oh, you're in here."
Yeah,
it was the most strange, wasn't it, Luke?
Yeah, really strange. Never seen that before, no.
No, it's like they froze in time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Because they stood solid. Sorry?
Stuck in the Matrix.
It was just like they'd frozen in time. It was just like, well, I don't know. Me and Luke were looking at each other thinking, "Oh, this is a bit creepy."
Yeah.
You know, and then suddenly it's like they came round out of it, wasn't it? They said, "Oh, it's all right if we stay in here." And we looked, said, "Did you?" I said to Julia, "You look different." She said, "Well, I don't know. What do you mean look different?" Didn't I? I said, "But you didn't acknowledge us when we asked you the question." She said, "What question you asked us?" And they literally stood motionless, like looking as though they'd froze in time.
It's starting to happen on a regular basis now, you know, all over the world. These sort of glitches.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it was like, Shane. As though you know, I've seen it on the channels where they get people in the woods or people on the side of the road just stationary and don't move, don't they? And the cars drive around them and people walk between them. But it really, I don't know, Luke, you know, how would you explain it, Luke, really?
No, it's like it wasn't there really, wasn't it? They couldn't see us.
It was like, it was like they couldn't see us. We weren't there, or they were someone else. They're not them.
Yeah.
It was the most strangest thing. The way the door opened and shut a few times, and we kept saying, "Oh, that's," and the shadow and the light disappeared outside. Yeah. And then suddenly, literally a minute later, Luke, was it something like that?
Yeah, it was,
that they came in, and we asked them the question, but they came in, shut the door, and then just stood motionless there. How long for, Luke? 30 seconds, 20 seconds?
Yeah, it wasn't too long, yeah.
And then suddenly she went, "Oh, you're in here." We went, "Yeah, didn't you hear us?" Asked you if you were outside. She went, No. And it was the most, and I said to her, "That wasn't you, Julia." She said, What do you mean that wasn't, or Simon? You know, that wasn't her. And she said, "Well, I don't know what you mean." And I looked at Luke and went, "What on earth was that?"
That's fine enough, Nigel. No more clothes off, please.
Yeah. No, you're all right. It's not the Chippendales, Nigel.
Do you know what? He's got more chip than Dan, I think. Anyway.
But that was the experience we had.
That's weird because the first notable time difference I've had in my life was about 8 years ago at Racton Monument, where I took you up to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I booked a few people to come out, and it looked like it was going to rain, so they all made their excuses. So it ended up myself, Daniel Chamberlain, and Angela went up. And we're up there, and Angela went, "I'm just going to walk to the end of the track, see how far it goes." Well, it's only, what would you say, Nige? 5 minutes there, 5 minutes back to the end of Racton track?
About 5 or 10 minutes, nothing more.
Max, yeah. And anyway, after about 35, 40 minutes, she's not back. So we're like, she's been gone a long time. She walked off, leaving myself and Daniel at the monument. And we're walking around, taking pictures, and just trying out to see if we can get any EVPs. And it was almost an hour before she come back. I said to Daniel, because you know when you get up there, Nige, it really gets thick, doesn't it? That farm track. And you don't really, I mean, it's not inviting to walk down that bit because it's all bumpety, big rocks and whatever. The farmers obviously put it there because at one time it was a byway, now it's a byway. Anyway, a bridleway. It was a byway, now it's a bridleway. Anyway, so anyway, she turned back up about 55 minutes on. "You all right?" She went, yeah, fine. I went, "Well, where have you been?" She went, "Well, I got to the end, but it's all overgrown, so I didn't go any further." but you've been gone almost an hour. No. Yeah. And she looked at her watch, and sure enough, she had. And we couldn't. She said she'd only thought she'd been gone about 15, 20 minutes, no longer. And she looked at her watch and went, yeah.
That reminds me of a little bit of when we were in the forest.
Absolutely.
And both myself, Angela, Jill, and the kids, we went in one side, and you stayed out with the dog. We were gone for an hour.
I suffer from walking problems, Shane. I've severed the nerves in my spine, so I can't feel my right foot, or I think I've lifted my right foot up, but I haven't. Yeah, and it's on a big slope, and there's a big sort of big bit of overgrown they want to go into. So I said, "You go in. I'll stay here because I will hold you back." Yeah, you don't like holding people back. Plus the fact if I've slipped in there, they're not going to carry 20 odd stone of blubber back that easily, are they? So
it was also weird that all of us and especially me and Jill had feelings since we first got there that and then when you first turned up, you immediately looked in that darker forest section and went, we need to go in there.
To the same point.
And that's when we found bones.
That's where they found the bones.
I think it all has
and it is completely dead in that area. And I stood there and I leant up against a tree. And the dog laid down. I leant up against the tree. I had my vape, and I thought, I'll just stand here. It was dead. There's a few pheasants. I've lived in the country. I know what pheasants sound like. And I know what the wings sound like. I can tell the difference between a crow and a seagull. I'm not a great tracker, but I can track. And I down the bottom of the slope, there's sort of like more woodland, and it levels off. Then it goes through the trees to a field, and then there's a farm building down there, a farmhouse, and something made the dog bark. Something made the dog bark, and I did hear like a hollow, like a cane knock. You know that hollow cane, yeah. Sort of only one. Then the dogs were set off, and then I heard something else, and that it wasn't. It definitely wasn't a pheasant. It wasn't a bird. It wasn't anything like that. I'd never heard this sound before. And I stood there and I stood there, and then again the atmosphere changed. The dog stopped barking, and I stood there longer and longer, leant up against this damn tree for longer and longer and longer. And
just before you continued, down that big ledge, right at the bottom is the tree structure where we got the shadow from. So there's loads more that we didn't cover, and also that way is literally, I mean, just fields, and then more forest. So
yeah, well, you know, I'm like standing there now, and I'm looking at my watch, and I'm thinking this is 45 minutes, and they've only just walked over there. I couldn't hear them. I couldn't see. Obviously, it's too thick. So Jill's left her bag there on the floor, so I'll leave it with you. So I'm thinking, have they decided they're going to go out the other side, or have they got something or something happened and they've gone back to the vehicles? There's no phone signal, so they can't ring me. What do I do? Should I pick up Jill's bag? Should I take it back to the cars? Because they automatically, you know, you've got that decision to make now. So I text Andrew. I said, "Where are you? Are you okay?" And she went, "Yeah, we're just heading back now." And I could hear them round the side. So I started whistling, so they could sort of pick up or whatever, or they may even manufacture something in their minds and think I am Bigfoot. You know what I mean? I'm trying people out all the time.
But it was
you have to try people out. Yeah, when you first meet them, you do. Sorry, mate. Yeah, you do. Anyway, they came back, and I've turned round, and I said, "Oh, were you all right? Yeah. How long did you think you were gone, Daniel?"
I would say probably about half hour.
more like an hour.
Yeah.
More like an hour.
Weird.
You can mistake 40 minutes for 30 minutes, but you can't mistake 60 for 30 minutes. And one person maybe could, but not the whole group. Yeah, when there's sort of like Jack, Ben, Daniel, Jill, Angela. Yeah, there's 5 of them.
And Darren, I will say, I don't know how you got from, because we went in straight from you, and it's quite long. And I have no idea how we got to all the other end of this patch of forest. I've got to say, it's about half a mile. That and how we kind of walked to the other side, I don't know.
I have a theory. EMF affect our minds. That is why I constantly go outside and have a vape and go back in, because these meters that we're using, I've said it many times before, they were not meant for paranormal investigations. So we've adapted to use them for that because they pick up spirit energy, static, whatever, but also radiation. And when they are flashing red, that means red light, anything red means danger. You should not expose yourself for too long to this. You may get headaches, you may get ill. Now, I didn't have an EMF meter with me in the forest. I wish I had, and next time I will. But I've got a feeling the reason we were drawn to it is because there's EMF there. Yeah, there's something there. If it's not EMF, it's something else. When you're in the forest, you've got disorientated because EMF will disorientate you. The same as UFOs will disorientate you because they've got an magnetic field around them. And again, I'm going back to the same thing. This is
Tim.
They're not apes. Yeah, they're not apes. I agree with you 100. Is this Tim again? 100% Tim. And this is why when Daniel first started commenting on this podcast before he first came on, he was under the opinion we were just looking for ghosts and whatever. But I tried to say to him, I believe Bigfoot is very spiritual, and I believe we are very spiritual. I know human beings are very, very clever things, and there's a lot more in us than we think we can do. Our limitations are limited only by our own beliefs. I believe when we are looking for things like Bigfoot and things like that, that outwits us because of the spirituality side and its ability to maybe shapeshift, maybe camouflage itself into the background. I have, again, these TV programs I take with a pinch of salt, but I have seen it where they've had it on the thermal camera or something like that. So I am with you 100% on that, and that's my theory on that. You've got the time gloss, you've got the misdirection, and we got the pull. So there had to be something that caused that.
I will also say, Darren, now this may be a very, very hard question for you.
Yeah.
So how do you explain the primate DNA then?
Because it's probably in its fur. It's probably something to do with its fur or something like that. Yeah.
Would that explain the footprint as well?
Yeah. It's probably close. I mean, did we come from apes? I don't know. I mean, did the whole galaxy, solar system, get formed by one big explosion? I don't know. When we look at the moon and we look up, all we see is multiple. Here she goes. Dora's back. Multiple explosion impact marks. You look at them; they're all round. Yeah. Were they volcanoes? Were they? The moon weighs 1/3 of what it should. Do you know that? It weighs me. No, apparently, I don't know how. Well, that's an interesting one for you, Shane. This is fact. The scientists, whatever way they do it, yeah, like they've weighed the sun, and 1 tablespoon of the sun, if it wasn't liquid, would weigh just over a ton. Yeah, It's that dense. But the moon weighs 1/3 of what it should actually weigh. They reckon that it's possibly hollow inside.
Right, I don't listen to science because they're full of shit.
I try not to. This is not
especially NASA.
No. This is not NASA. This is not NASA.
Right.
No.
Right.
This is why if it was, you'd have heard it on TV. Yeah, you'd have heard it on the BBC. No, it's not NASA, mate. It's not NASA. But this is what the top scientists have actually said. The ones that aren't allowed on TV, and you know the ones I mean. They've said it only weighs 1/3, and a lot of theories are that it's an alien moon base in there, and that's why so many astronauts for NASA never got published and reported spacecraft coming from the moon and going past the space station. That's interesting. So how would you describe the primate DNA? That was, or is it a different species?
Well, fine. Well, it's what was really odd was they could not narrow down what species this is. Now they had human DNA on there, which tells me that kind of rules out that. Now they've also said that humans do have traces of great ape DNA, but old world monkey, not a chance. No way. So trying to explain the old world monkey is a really hard one, and so far I've spoken to some of the top ones in Bigfoot, and they have no idea. Now, this is another mystery that hasn't been solved yet, and I wish it would. I really wish it would, but it hasn't. And you've got to kind of question that and go, so if you found old world monkey DNA, could that mean that there is something? Go on, John.
Many million years ago, and I can't tell you when, the monkey family split into two. It split into old world monkeys and new world monkeys, and great apes are evolved old world monkeys. So the fact that it came out with old world monkey DNA, and the great ape DNA are probably the same thing. And humans are also from old world monkeys.
I just say, your results, we focus on that, but you found wild boar DNA. Yeah, that's incredible. You know, because it's a heavily farmed area, and farmers would be noticing if boar were digging up their crops.
True, Chris, yeah.
There's millions up by me.
Whereabouts are you, Shane?
Forest of Dean. They released them 2007.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And they've just taken over the woodland, the fields. They just rip everything up. They even venture into the towns and villages. So they are a bit of a nuisance, and they are cold on a regular basis. But you just can't touch the sides. So once they do spread into the area, you know about it.
What will be very interesting is, number one, I'm going back to the same forest, and it would have been 4 weeks since I've been back, and I'm going on Friday to go and have a look, see if anything's changed, and then after Christmas, which I cannot wait for, the UK Bigfoot research team, UK BRT, are going for an investigation, including Darren, myself, Chris, possibly John, and some others that are going to try and get to that forest. We are going to hopefully get drones up in the air. We're going to get radios everywhere. We're going to litter the forest in as much power as we have to try and flush whatever it is to try and find a answer. Whether we do remains a mystery, and we won't know until we finish the investigation. But that one will be a very, very good investigation, and we'll see what can kind of come out of that. Because I know when I went with Darren, even first stepping into the forest, and when he got, and I showed Darren the very, very place where I picked the eDNA. Where will you be hunting? As in,
well, that's down to you, Daniel. It's Daniel's location.
Unfortunately, Tim, I'm not going to release the location due to private stuff. It's on the Quantock Hills, and it's by it's in Windham Forest, and that's been published in the papers. But where in Windham Forest, I'm not allowed to say.
I think the trouble is, on an open forum like this, I've done a bit of Urban X and things like that, and there's these beautiful properties that are left behind by people that have no family. And as soon as the location gets known, the Wreck-It Brigade come in and they start to smash the windows and door locks and steal stuff. And I never release an Urban X location ever for that simple, apart from people that are very close to come with me. And I think if it's an animal involved, you have to be even more so cautious, because and yep, we always keep an open mind. That's 100% sure. But when there's an animal involved, we had it mentioned by Shane earlier. In Afghanistan, the first thing they do is go out and fire bullets at it. And unfortunately, we do have a lot of youth in this world which aren't quite so humane as all of us. And I think the first thing they do is go up there, maybe after a couple of pints of Stella, and there's no Bigfoot. We'll try and catch it. And then I'll tell you, oh look, there it is. We'll run it over with the car. We've caught it. Yeah. Yep. No. I'm just trying to explain for Daniel's sake why he doesn't obviously want to release. Perhaps later on, when we've done a few things or whatever, you can join us up there or whatever, eh, Daniel? But it's very important we all get to bond. And
this person here.
Yeah.
He's in America, mate.
Oh right, okay. You're not just going to nip over the pond then, mate. And sorry, Tim. I've no idea where you are, what you are. Daniel does. He's keeping it all a secret till we've put our foot in the bucket.
Well, say I'm interviewing Tim tomorrow. So I'll know a lot more about Tim.
Yeah, send me a link, mate, and I'll try and get over and whatever. I will. Yeah. Report. I believe you did Paul on Friday, did you?
I did.
Yes, I did. I think it was all right. I think it was all right.
Yeah.
I think you were.
Chris was co-hosting Paul's. And Chris, I can say that Paul's interview was great, wasn't it?
Yeah. Right until I asked him about my house.
I'm sorry. You asked me. I told you.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't regret your answer. I regret the question a bit.
Unfortunate.
Well, Paul.
Yeah.
Paul, I was on the phone to Chris, and he said, "If you see a man behind me, please let me know."
No.
So you've scared him into
what the man standing to his left? You mean on the arm of the sofa? That man.
Yeah, in the corner.
Yeah. You see him as well, Darren.
Yeah.
sitting on the arm of the chair.
Did he die?
Can't see him, Chris.
I'll tell you what. Could be the.
What did I say?
Who's that?
I'm sure show my picture.
He's admiring the photograph of my son.
That's the man.
Let's have a look, mate. Let's have a look. Come on.
He jumped.
Sorry.
All right, yeah.
Absolute. What regiment are you in, mate?
He's a tanky.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I've never served myself, but my dad was in the second. And he started off as an engineer when he was 16, 1939. Called straight up because he was in the terrors. And then they were sent over to France or whatever. He was a demolition expert. He had a day's training on that, apparently, so he was well up. They were given claymores by the Black Watch, and they were told basically that they were short of weapons, so they were given claymores. They were marching on foot. They had one vehicle. When they saw the Germans' tanks and guns and helmets, they just had to blow the ammo truck up and run. He got posted to a place called Billericay, which he went, great, I'm going back to Scotland. Billericay's in Essex. He then went back over and he joined up for another 2 and 6 a week because he joined the Paratroop Regiment, which was the first SAS. He was then a glider pilot. The way they taught you to do that was to take you up, say, right, enemy territory's that way, and just release you. And then he went. I'll tell you, he ended up a Wingate Syndicate at the end of the war. He was the first and second. But I'll tell you what, I've told a few on here before, but Dad used to take me to Duxford to the Battle of Britain displays and whatever. I don't know if you've been, but Dora's got her daughter there. Look, she's going, look, that man's on telly again. He was at Harvester. Yeah, she's going, he was the start of the Harvester. Yeah, I'll give you my autograph next week, Mia, all right? Yeah? You can get it for Christmas. Yeah? Yeah?
Here we go. With a picture of Father Christmas, I know. Ho, ho, ho.
we went to Duxford and they were doing pleasure flights on an old Dakota DC-3. And at this time, these planes were flying back and forth to the Channel Islands. So were pleasure planes, but they were doing pleasure trips. £7 each it was. I'll never forget. Anyway, my dad said, let's go on. And anyway, we got on the slope like that, sat in your seat, up, here we go. Go the motorway, round back and land. And the old guy comes off and he takes your seatbelts off. And he said, did you enjoy that, guys? And my dad said, yeah. He says, been up in loads of these, he says. I've never landed in one.
They've always been shot down.
What? He says, I've been up in loads of them. He says, I've never landed in one ever. He says, once you get out, he says, just stand at the rear wing. He says, I need to talk to you. So the old guy comes up and he went, you were a paratrooper then, were you, in the second? My dad said, how do you know that? He said, well, you've been up in loads, you've never come down, it's pretty obvious. He says, were you a rear door jumper or did you go through the floor? He said, right behind the cockpit. He says, come here. He went inside, he lifted it up, and the old flap was welded over, right? And underneath, you could see there was a new bit of aluminium put over, because too many jumped out the rear door, got caught on the rear wing with a parachute, and of course they landed that way. And so they cut a hole in the floor. They just used to get out the seat and walk up and jump through the hole in the floor. He says, this plane was in active service. He said, where did you jump? So my dad just reeled it off. Quite impressive. The dates and the places. I mean, it must have been really tattooed up there. Yeah. And he said, that would have been this plane on those dates. He said that you jumped out of. But it didn't end there. He said, and I were your pilot.
Wow.
So that is, to me, that's another special memory I've got of my dad, Chris. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually met the pilot that flew the plane that day that I were on it, that flew it when my dad was in it when he jumped out. And he went round the Burma Star Association and he reeled off his rank and number to the Burma Star people. And the guy saluted my old man. They got his records out, signed him up, and it was surreal. That just shows you the power of traction, doesn't it? That there is some sort of force. Look at us all on here tonight. Look at us, we've all got the same enthusiasm. It may be in slightly different areas more. Well, we're all in the same areas, but some may be a bit more passionate in one area than the other is passionate in that. So we're putting the boundaries even wider for all of our minds. That's what I believe.
To me, it looks like something off a Crime Watch, to be honest.
Not again.
Have you seen these men?
Don't tell my dad, Paul. Don't tell my dad.
Have you seen this man here? Look below. This man here. Have you seen him? And Shane, have you seen Shane?
Yeah. Them days are gone.
Contact South Coast Ghost.
I've seen the light now.
Yeah, good for you, mate. Make a run for it.
Yeah. We'll have a chat, Shane, because Nigel's the same as me, sort of thing, and Justin obviously very much so. I go over to Justin's workshop in Havant.
It's a crazy world we live in. So open your eyes up. I always say to people, close your eyes and open your mind and see what you see.
A closed mind is a dangerous thing, mate. And closed eyes and a closed mind is even more dangerous. And Well, we had a guy the other night that Mark Ricketts saved me from, really, in the Bugle, and we're out the front.
I heard about this.
Yeah, he was there with his girlfriend, and he'd obviously been to another pub first. He was slaughtered, but he was doing his best to act sober, and that's how I knew he was slaughtered. He'd obviously had a bit of fresh air walking from another pub, and he was on his second pint in the Bugle. And she went, she was holding the dog. She went, we're doing the Ouija board. Shall we join in? Shall we have a go? Automatically expected to. And I'm listening. And he went, they're all a load of liars anyway, fakers and whatever. And I'm just listening to this. And he went, they're a load of idiots. They all have to fake it for that. Don't listen to any of them. I says, really, mate? He says, yeah. I said, so you've obviously done all your research on this, have you? Oh, yeah. I went, how much research you done on it? He went, well, none really. I don't have to. I said, oh, right. So you've done your studying. You've got degrees in it, obviously. Yeah. No. I said, so you've worked in the paranormal industry. It's been your hobby, has it? No. I said, so what the hell do you know? What right gives you? I said, for one, this isn't my job. This is my hobby. It's everybody's hobby here. I said, most places we go into, we debunk anyway. Yeah. And he went, you're just a load of idiots. I went, what? He went, well, wasting your nights just to fake it so you can try and make other people believe that ghosts exist. And I said, what do you do? And he said something. I said, if I turned around to you and said, that's a load of rubbish, that is, for a start, so he slammed his plate on the bar. I didn't come in here looking for a fight, but you're very confrontational. I'm like, whoa. I said, I'm just trying to explain something to you. Yeah, well, you're full of shit anyway.
But some people are very narrow-minded, aren't they? When it comes to the paranormal, ghosts, they're very narrow-minded on what their views. Instead of keeping his views to himself and keeping his mouth shut.
Yeah, well,
Nobody wants to hear his views, do they?
Well, Mark Ricketts got very annoyed with him.
Well, I can imagine.
After I shook his hand and I said, look, let's agree to disagree, yeah? You know, it'd be a really boring world if we all agreed on the same thing anyway, yeah? He walked out and he was making quips about everybody in the group, yeah? And what a joke we were and things like that, yeah? So much so, Mark Ricketts actually went up to the landlady and said, look, if you want to do this in the future, you've got to keep these idiots out the pub. He said, I've just witnessed this, yeah? Luckily, Mark Ricketts has known me for about 12 years, so he knows what my temperament is like. And yet, yesterday morning, we went back over, and I said, well, sorry, you had to witness. He said, Mark, Darren, he said, I know you're not like that. It's just, the guy's problem was simple. He was out, he knows he's a beta male, he's shouting his mouth off. He says, all of a sudden, there's an alpha male he's met at the bar, and he's tried to prove to his girlfriend that he's man enough. He said, and all he did in the protest was made himself look like a complete dick. But you know, I mean, really, I'd have liked to have buried him right there and then, right? But I couldn't really, could I? Do you know what I mean?
No.
Well,
No.
and also, Darren, I'm not sure anyone would want to fight with you.
They probably wouldn't get a word in.
Oh, that's all right, John. You stick up. I know what team you're on now, then, John. Oh, oh.
Me and you, John.
That's fighting talk, isn't it?
How funny.
Right.
We have a drawing from Saturday night of one of the spirits that were there.
Oh, you
Jen
got
did
the mirror,
Jen did a drawing. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
That was one of the spirits that came through to Jen.
Looks like Darren, doesn't it?
Murdered.
We think that's the lady that was murdered.
Yeah.
That's what we think. That's what she looked like.
She does look a bit pale, Paul.
Yeah, she looks a bit weak, didn't she? Really anemic. That was one of the
That's
drawings.
what I was drawing whilst everyone was doing the human pendulum.
I think you got that pretty well, Jen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you see, I'm not being funny, but if you see my drawings when I'm either copying something rather than channeling it, they're not as good as my drawings when I'm channeling it.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
But that human pendulum.
Well, considering that I've only started drawing 3 months ago, you know what I mean?
God, it took you a long time to draw it then.
That's got to be Nigel, isn't it? But that human pendulum was a different level, wasn't it? Really, the noises, you know, and the amount of people around the circle that were moving during it.
Never,
you know, it was.
Before.
No, I hadn't.
I don't know what it is.
Right, for those that don't know, right, what we do to start off with is we do a thing called the human pendulum. And basically, if you're on a paying event, some people won't want to do it because they think, oh, God, what if I get possessed? Yeah, they don't know. But if it's a regular, everybody will get involved. And Shore House, I had 44 people. And they join hands, they form a circle. I'll go in the middle of you. And I will ask you to close your eyes, take a deep breath in and just relax. The reason I do that is because we rely on these two things here too much. We should rely on our senses, yeah? And the only way we can withdraw them out is stop being lazy, stop using our eyes. And anyway, I would say 90% of people did close their eyes. They relaxed. And I instantly, when I asked spirit energy to come around the circle, I could instantly start feeling it. And I saw at least 6 spirits around that circle. And anyway, one, who was it got picked first? That lady.
The lady next to me, wasn't it?
Kirsty, was it?
Yeah, the older lady, yeah.
So there was a few getting pushed, but didn't want to admit it, yeah? I think you were feeling something, Nigel, weren't you?
I wasn't in the pendulum, mate.
No, but you were feeling it.
Oh, the energy, yeah, but I wasn't actually in it.
So just like, you know, and Paul, you could feel it straight away, mate. And Dora was
there was something around the circle, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Anyway, we this lady came in, and all we asked for is a simple yes or no answer. That's all it is, yeah. If there's enough of us together at some point, we can have a little demonstration. There's no harm comes from it at all. And we asked the spirit to either rock you backwards or forwards, yeah, to give a yes or a no. Some spirits will pick backwards for a yes, some will go backwards for a no, and vice versa. Anyway, I said, can you show us your yes, spirit? And it just pushed her backwards slightly, yeah. And then I said, can you show us your no? And it just slightly forwards. And I said, okay, we're going to start. Are you male? No. So I got that wrong. Bad start for me, good start to prove that we're genuine, yeah. Anyway, I said, has anybody else got a question for her? We've got a lady and so forth, yeah. And she went, no. Now, after about 5 minutes, the lady in the middle, she's 54.
Yeah, maybe a little bit older, yeah.
Well, yeah. I'm glad you said that, not me, because I don't like insulting women. I've learnt the hard way. And
that's unusual, isn't it? What's going
on? I used to pay for it now. And anyway, yeah, she turned around to me and she went, I'm not doing anything. This is weird. She said, I've never done this before. She said, we tried somewhere else, but she said this is, and she kept looking at me. She said, no, I'm really going. And then all of a sudden, round the circle, there was like people just like moving and rocking side to side, like they wanted to be picked. The power suggestion to one person, yeah, maybe it can work. To two people, maybe it can work. But I've never actually seen sort of 14, 15 people in a circle and 4 of them all like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a very strange energy around that circle.
I mean, when you get people doing that, Chris, they're actually trying to resist doing it. Do you know what I mean? They feel themselves going forward. They're trying to resist it. They think, and they go forward. And when they relax, sometimes you have to catch it.
But also, people, when you're standing for a period of time, you rock anyway, don't you? We all do it if you're standing for a period of time.
Yeah.
But these are definite push forwards. You know, you could actually see them. And I watched a couple of people got pushed forward, and they actually looked behind, thought there was somebody pushing them.
Yeah, they did.
They actually looked behind, and I could sense something going around that circle outside it. But it was obviously very well protected when we're doing it. You know, no harm comes to anybody. But it's a very, very intriguing experiment that night, Saturday night. Very intriguing.
Very, very.
Yeah.
You know, that it was a good night. It was a good night. I think we had quite a large area to cover, which I didn't actually bank on it being that difficult to cover that area in the time we gave ourselves.
Yeah.
I think we could have a second chapter there and do completely different, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Just a quick question. Did have you any of you had experiences with like poltergeist and demonic spirits?
Yeah.
Or is it just ghostly apparitions?
I've dealt with poltergeist. I tend to steer clear of demonic stuff because I'm not that clued up and I'm not that clever to take on something of that stature. So I tend to stay clear of that because it's dealing with something that's more powerful than I am. And if I'm in that scenario and I don't know much about that type of world, if you want to call it the demonic world, then I'll still steer clear of it. I don't go looking for demonic and negative entities because I know, you know, they can cause you terrible problems. But if you don't go looking for them, you're okay.
I just wondered if you'd gone into these buildings that are apparently haunted, but come across sort of demonic entities in them sort of places, and then you leave.
I'll tell you a story of what happened to me in an asylum. If we got time, I was asked to go into an abandoned asylum with a team of people because the workmen were in there, and their tools kept going missing, and they were moved to different rooms, and all sorts of things going on in this asylum because they were slowly converting it to flats. So we were asked to go in there and see what we could pick up and see whether we could find whether it was harmful, not harmful, or what it was. So, the first rule of paranormal investigations is stay together, never go on your own, never split, stay as a team. Because a lot of paranormal investigators, and a lot of investigators anyway, go into abandoned locations, and all the time that you're walking through a location, you're not looking down, you're looking forward or you're left and right. And a lot of them disappear down lift shafts because the shafts have been taken out. So once you got down a lift shaft, you're dead anyway. So we went into this asylum, and the first rule was obviously stay as a group. So we found a room to put all our equipment in. And I thought I heard voices down one of the corridors. You imagine it's like a round room of all these wings off of it, like a star, a bit like a star. And as we entered, I said to one of the ladies, I think I can hear voices. She said, well, there should be nobody here. We're just here on our own. So me being inquisitive, nosy, silly, stupid, whatever you want to call it, they were setting up, and I wandered off down to one of these wings. And as I was walking down the wing, and remember, it's completely dark, all the doors were open on the wings. And the creepiest thing was, it'd been shut for about 70 odd years, this place. So it'd been shut a while, and the beds were still made, the cutlery was still out, everything was all still laid, So that was the creep, like people had just moved out, and it was so creepy. So I saw one of these doors move on the wing, and I thought, I'm going to go and have a look at that. So me being me, wandered down there in the dark with my torch, and I could see the door sort of just moving. I thought it must be blowing in the wind. There must be another excuse why that door's moved or why it's shut. But all the other doors were still open. So I slowly pulled the door open and looked inside, like you do, looking into a complete dark room. And the windows were all still in it. So they hadn't been smashed. So that sort of me being inquisitive sort of wandered into the room. I went into the room, and it's not, you imagine they're not very big rooms, but they had a toilet and whatever on a bathroom on there and a bed and all of that. And as I got into the room, the bloody door slammed behind me. Now, I had no phone or anything like that, and I was quite a way away from the hub. They were in the room, so they wouldn't have heard me shouting anyway. And I'm standing there, and I sort of tried the door and thought, I've got myself in a problem here. And I looked around the room. I couldn't see anything in the room. Suddenly I felt what felt like someone rushed past me, that breeze. And I thought, oh, and I sort of, as, trying to use my gift, I wanted a word to try and sense what was in the room, but I couldn't. It was blocking, I knew there was something in there because I could feel it going past me, like walking past me, the breeze of it. And I'm thinking, this is not right. Something's not right in this room. And I've done the wrong thing. I've gone off on my own. So I'm standing there, and this thing, I can feel the energy getting more and more agitated with me being in this room. And with any demonic or negative entity, the more fear you show, the more power they become, because they feed off your fear. Fear creates energy, a massive amount of energy. And the more fear you have is the more energy they can accumulate, the more things start to happen, scratching, all these unworldly things. And I could feel this thing getting agitated. So I knew, and I kept saying to myself, I need to calm down. I need to stay calm. And it's very difficult when you're in a situation to try and stay calm, when there's something's going on. And I knew it was building up and building up. So in the end, the only thing I thought to myself, the only thing I can do is say to it, okay, I'm not scared of you. show me who you are. You know, I'm not scared, and I'm going, come on, you know, do what you got to do. If you're such a big person and you're trying to scare me, come round. I'm not scared of you. I'm not scared of you. And this thing was going really faster and faster, and the energy was really changing in the room. I said, well, I'm not scared of you, so do what you got to do and get it over and done with. And the door burst open. And I wandered out the door and wandered back to the corridor, thinking to myself, you know, that's the one and only time that I'd ever go off on my own.
Yeah.
And that's the true story.
Blimey.
You know, and it was just that, having the experience of, you know, I studied parapsychology for 3.5 years as a mature student at university, you know, and they had speakers and guests and all of that talk about these sorts of things. And I remembered, you know, the more panic, the more fear you produce, the more energy you're actually producing in that room. They become more and more powerful.
That's right.
So,
that's why they prey on young children, because they
absolutely.
want the fear, and they drain the fear, and that's right.
Yeah. The
It's
fear
a
gives
negative
them power.
energy.
Yeah. And the more power they get, the more harm they can create, scratching, biting, burning sensations people put it down to. Yeah. And I just, you know, had to get a real grip on myself, because I don't care who you are in that situation, your heart is going. You know you're in trouble, but it's that getting over that initial fear, thinking, oh my God, what have I done here? To saying, well, come on then, do what you got to do. Do your best. Come on. I know you're here. I can feel you. Show yourself. Come up to me. Do whatever. Do this, you know. Show me what you can. If you're so creepy or so negative, you've got to do something to me to prove who you are. And the door burst open, and I sort of, I said, well, there you go. See, you're not powerful. You're not scary, are you? And walked off down the corridor. And I think if I'd have eaten on that night, had something to eat, I think I probably would have lost it in the cell. You know, it was that scary. Yeah. But it was only due to experience that I realised, you know, don't show any fear. And that's very easy, because your body wants to fight or flight, doesn't it? It knows there's something terribly wrong, you know, and you're in a situation where you know you can't get out of the room unless you've got to stand your ground. And it was literally a case of standing my ground and saying, do what you got to do, because I'm not scared of you. You know, it obviously sensed that I was not panicky, but I was getting in that type of area. But once you stand your ground and say, go, you know, do what you got to do, or just go away, just leave me alone. You know, you're not scaring me. And the door opened and I wandered out, and I thought, oh my God, what did I do? And that,
you said,
sorry?
You just said God then, so.
Well, but
also Christians would rebuke it. They would rebuke it, and that gives them the power and the confidence. Yeah. Yeah. So, like yourself, you knew you had experiences. You could put up a front and you could say, you know, you won't take me because I'm not scared. Yeah. Now, if you've got your faith on your side, you know, you've got God on your side and all that. That's your faith, and that's your
shield.
Your shield. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and you can walk through.
I tend to ask the Archangel Michael to protect me when I'm in these buildings. You know, I asked him to put a bubble of light around me and protect me from any harm. And I haven't come to any harm. You know, I've been pushed and sort of the weird things.
But what you lot do, I mean, it's sort of, it is quite scary, because if you do come across a demonic area and you haven't got the strength and power and the faith to overcome it, then, you know, you're playing with fire, aren't you?
But then there's strength in numbers. If you're all in numbers as a group, there's always strength in numbers. You know, that's why in the paranormal world, you know, you should never go out investigating on your own, because as a singular, you don't have, if you come across something demonic, Darren will tell you, and, you know, lots of investigators will tell you that watch this live and all of that. You're on your own, you're in trouble, because if something happens, you're in trouble, aren't you? If you fall through a floor, or a floorboard breaks, or you run and fall down the stairs because you're not looking, because you're in that sheer mode of panic, your fight or flight mode, that's when you're in trouble. If there's a number of you, then there's safety in numbers, you know? So you all can stick together and say, you know, and like I always say, you can have thousands and thousands of pounds worth of equipment to go into these buildings and these asylums and these hospitals, but the best bit of equipment you'll ever have is your body. Your body will tell you whether it's wrong or right, or whether you need to get out. Don't you? Equipment that say, "Hello, there's a demon," but it won't say to you, "Run." Your body will, but your equipment won't. Your equipment will say, "Yeah, there's a demon," or whatever. You're in trouble. You think, "Well, I know I'm in trouble because that's what my body's telling me to run. I need to get out." So I say to anybody that's doing paranormal investigation, listen to your body. Your body will tell you whether you're wrong or right, or you're in the wrong place. And if you've got safety in numbers, you can all say, "Do you feel that?" And everybody will go, "Something's not right," because your body's telling everybody it's not right. So you all exit the building together.
I mean, Paul, can I just jump in there, mate? I mean,
yeah.
Asking the question there, yeah.
What's that?
I mean, basically, he's the one that asked for the equipment and so forth.
All right.
Recordable data. Just to give you an idea, Joe. I mean, Paul's got 2 SLS cameras, 3 full spectrums.
Yeah.
2 IR meters.
Shadow trackers.
EVP recorders.
Yeah. 360-degree sensors.
I record in different pixel cameras, right up, from 800 right up to 4K. 2.7 I enjoy quite a bit. I use converted full spectrums. I also use phone cameras, pixel down. Too many pixels, I don't think it picks up. I also use Zoom H1N, which will start the recording 3 seconds before you hit the record button. That's the H1N. It's a really good little recorder. It's also 24-bit DAC, and it also records in WAV format. I've got 3 Olympuses that are also WAVs as well, 8 gigabytes. I've got obviously the full spectrum cameras and lock-off cameras as well. Also a MEL, ATTD, REM, and temperature drop as well. So we know the temperature we're recording. We've also got various EMF recorders, multiples. Also, I've got 2 of the original non-programmed ghost meters, which are very good because obviously they're the ones as well, yeah. Graham, I mean, we've got multiple equipment. I mean, dowsing rods is a simpleton thing, right up until £1,200 Panasonic 4K camera. Yeah, it is a very, thanks, mate, yeah. H5S's, yeah, they're nice, yeah. The reason I use an H1N is I carry around a camera, all right? I carry around a camera, and I'm running a group, and I'm watching the group, and I'm watching them, and so forth, and I'm looking for evidence, and I'm trying to keep everybody safe. Me personally, I don't care about demonic forces. I've come up against many of them, and they're that big, literally that big, and I'll tell you why in a second. I've been doing this 42 or 43 years. I've had quite a few poltergeists, quite a few friendly poltergeists, good poltergeists, and I'll tell you that why in a second as well, but also some bad ones. I've cleared houses, as Dora will tell you as well. I've cleared one of hers, and I did it quite simply, didn't I? Without any effort. Where others failed, I just went bang, you're gone. And anyway, the equipment I carry around with me, I like the H1N because I've got a Ulanzi flexible tripod, one you can turn around. I have a 2.7K 8-man camera, which is full spectrum. I have 2 IRs, one small IR, one big. Different ones, I think about 750, the other one's about 890, something like 850. So I've got both colours of red spectrum, got green and red spectrum. I have to have something light. It's connected to a power pack in my pocket by one USB lead, and that I also have LCD light, colour change light as well, so I can go red if I have to. I like the photographic evidence, and I like the EVPs, and I hate little flies, which I've got one. Yes, that's my dinner sorted. Why is he there?
Takeaway.
Yeah. Some venues I come home, yes, they do. Yes. Ulanzi, like I said to you, Paul, you need to look at Ulanzi. I'll send you some links through. Really good, really good. I've also got a phone holder and wireless charger for when I'm out in the field as well. Yeah. I need something relatively light when I'm carrying it around, if that makes sense. And because I'm helping people, we may go into a room where people are inexperienced. They may run into something that's a little bit darker. It's my job, it's my responsibility to make sure that myself, yeah, I just ate one then. No, I didn't really. It's my responsibility to keep the whole team safe. And the reason I do that, I mean, all the guys that are part of the SCG and whatever and the Puppy Network will tell you, I let the group run it itself. Yeah? Is that fair?
Yeah.
You won't ever hear me tell anybody they have to do something, or we're not doing something, or we are doing this, will you?
No.
The members run the group. And it's a lot easier that way because you capture more evidence, and we are inevitably after the evidence. But I do feel, and don't take this the wrong way, I feel I'm stronger than everybody within the group and less feared of anybody in that group. 40 odd years, yeah? And I went through a stage of not really caring about myself. I went through a stage of wandering around buildings where I knew there was demonic forces and not giving a monkeys. And turning round, and Scott Lee Bowler will tell you, Nigel was there. Myself and Nigel joined Scott on an investigation up in North End in a house where there was a demonic poltergeist. Remember that, Nigel?
I do.
And it was terrifying the young lady, something rotten, and she was going out of her mind. And I said, do you want me to get rid of it for you? She went, many people have tried, but it won't go. It's here for good. I don't know what to do. Remember that, Nigel?
Yeah, sure do.
And I said, okay, I will get rid of it for you. Right? And they filmed me, and it's still filmed somewhere. I'm sure Scott still got it. It was on YouTube. I said, where is the scariest place? And Nigel picked the hallway. And sure enough, it was the hallway where it hung out. So I stood in between the hallway and the living room, and I said, okay, I'm going to give you 5 minutes now. I believe I'm stronger than you. I know I'm stronger than you. And I ain't scared of you. Okay? And this thing was getting really angry. You could feel it, couldn't you, Nigel?
I do.
Getting really upset. We had flickerings of lights. The meters were going off. It was like something you saw out of a film set, but it was coming up, yeah? And I said, right, I'm going to give you 5 minutes now. Right? I'm going to stand here. I'm going to let you do what you want to me. I want you to do your worst to me. You can't hurt me. I'm just going to stand here now. And if you want to punch me in the face, punch me in the face. If you want to claw me down my face, make me bleed, make me bleed. But I know you can't do it because you're too bloody weak. And I stood there 5 minutes and I went, all right, that's your 5 minutes up, but I'm going to give you another couple of more minutes. You remember that, Nigel?
Yeah.
And you could feel it, and you could feel it around. I said, however, at the start of the experiment, I said, if I prove that I'm stronger than you, I'm the victor. If you win, I'll walk out that front door now. I'll never return. If I win, you walk out the front door. You never return. You're banished from this flat. You're banished from Stevie's life. And I made a pact with it, and I allowed it because I ain't as strong as me. I've got it up there. All the paranormal world, and you can't do this until Paul's coming up big time, right? He knows he's not strong enough yet. That's the understanding. Do you see what I mean? It's the knowledge. If you think you're the hardest man in the boxing ring, what's going to happen to you, Nigel?
You get beat.
There you go, right? He knows he's not the hardest man in the boxing ring, yeah? I've gone out before. I've done it so many times now. I don't give a monkey. I know I'm stronger than it. After I go another 2 minutes, the whole atmosphere in that flat changed. And I mean, not just like temperature-wise, but the feeling of heaviness, loathing, and it became a place of happiness. And as far as I know, that was what, about 3-4 years ago, Nigel?
Yeah, probably was about 4 years, I reckon.
And the lady is still living in that flat, quite happy, and she hasn't had any more bad events happen. I know Scott's been back. You don't get anything on the readings. The Ouija board won't go. Nothing will work in that flat. That flat is 100% clean. And it's all what strength you believe you are. Yeah. You know these people that they're I'm trying to think of the right word without offending anybody. Like a mental patient or something like that. And if I said the wrong word, I far from want to offend anybody, because that's one thing in my life I believe in. Don't offend anybody. I hate it. It hurts me more than it hurts them. Yeah. If
I'm offended.
No. Offended. You know what I mean, Shane? Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them are only small people, but they're very, very strong. Yeah. They've got no muscle. They've got no physique, but it takes 5 or 6 nurses to hold them down. Yeah. And they can just pick them up and flick them off like that. I've witnessed this. My friend in Huddersfield is a carer, and he looks after these dangerously insane people, and they're locked in. And I've seen them, 3 carers, jump on top of them like an old 60-year-old little man, and he just throws them off like that, like they're nothing. Because it's all in the mind, you know. It's all in the mind. We took a mate out one night, and we gave him glasses of Coke, yeah, like that. And we got our whiskey and smeared it around the top of the glass so it smelled of whiskey. And he kept drinking and drinking. After about 8 or 9, he was rat-arsed. I mean, really, all he drank was Coca-Cola. That's all he drank all night. But in his mind, this is true, it's when I used to be in sales, smearing it around the top of the glass, he's smelling the whiskey. We had to carry him home. Because in his mind, he believed he'd been drinking whiskey. Yeah? And you do need certain things if you're going to go out, and I keep trying to install this in people, and I think you should probably use it in the Bigfoot hunting as well. Just go and buy yourself a piece of cheap green jade and just wear it all the time. Get it from China. Get a piece you are attracted to. You have to be attracted to it. Luke's got it on now, yeah? Luke needs to be very, very empathic and very sensitive to spirits. And spirits would be able to affect Luke so easy. And they used to push him around, bully him and everything. Now, how often does that happen?
No, it never happens no more.
Never happens anymore.
No, it doesn't, no.
So the answer basically is, yeah. I mean, we do come up against dark things. You do everywhere. It's like when you walk down the street, unfortunately, you walk past drug dealers and worse. Yeah. But unless you actually ask them the question or you find out about them, you're never going to know. But you're walking past them, so you come up against them in the paranormal world as well. But I can 9 times out of 10 sense them. Let's try to make them go deaf. And I'll push them to one side. But another thing you'll often find, I can walk into a building and the meters are going off and the spirit box is talking away and the app's going and everything. And I'll walk into the building and I spoil it for everybody because it just goes flat as a pancake. As if like they've gone, oh no, he's not here, is he? God. So yeah. You'll have to come out with us sometime. We'll do something.
Well, it's certainly very interesting.
Well, I mean, I believe we've got a spirit and we've got a soul and we've got a body. And our spirit is what makes us, our soul's what carries us on, and our body which carries us through this life.
I certainly don't think that this is the end.
No.
I believe, obviously, I believe in God, and I believe the Creator, and I believe in the Son and the Holy Spirit. And that's what gets me through, and that's what I know to be true. See, so not everybody will feel that way.
God is real, but so much bigger than you can ever perceive in your mind.
Oh, definitely. He is everything. He's creator. He's the universe. You can't put anything on it. He's so powerful. That's why he sends his spirit, as it's not as power. It's condensed. It's not as sorry. It's watered down. The spirit is watered down, so it's not. You're not dealing with the power. Sometimes I'll feel.
God's there all the time. God,
yeah.
You know who God really is?
God is the Father. He's the Creator. He's the Creator of the universe and Creator of all. Good and bad. But
he's
bad.
The person sitting on your shoulder right at this very minute, and each and every one of us.
Yeah. That's right.
He's telling you. He's
breathed life into us from day one. Since we were born, he breathed life into us. And
he's telling you whether you were right or you were wrong in doing something. He's telling you that car that was broken down at the side of the road, that you convinced yourself you didn't have the time to stop and help him change the tyre, even though he was in a wheelchair. You were wrong in doing that. And next time to repent and recite, you must help. You know whether you do right or wrong. And I believe that we've got 70% of our lives are set out for us, but we've probably got 30% free will. And I think it is that narrow, because it doesn't matter. Some days you try and change your path of that day, and it doesn't matter how hard you try and change it, you still end up in the same place. Would you agree with that?
Listen, we're all sinners, and it says that in the Bible. Not one of us can be glorified. Not one of us is holy and good. So we're all sinners. But to know that the sacrifice was gave to us, so we could be saved for eternal life. Then because
the Bible did a good job, right? And
it wasn't one person. There was five. There was over 100 different stories out there. There was everybody says who wrote the Bible. It wasn't one person. It was stories all throughout the Old Testament up until the New Testament. There's Mark, Luke, John, Matthew in the New Testament, and then you had like Ezekiel, you had Genesis and all that. You had all these stories down through the Bible. They were all passed down through prophets. So the prophets' stories and the message that come from God, for them to write it down, that's what made the Bible. So it didn't just come from one person, like everybody seems to think it does.
It's the second time she's forgot it.
I mean, there's over 100 different stories from. Let me go through there now. Like Genesis, Exodus, the Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, Samuel, Kings, Chronicles.
I will say, Shane. I will say I think the reason why not many people know about God and the Bible is because people don't look into it. And for myself,
that's right. Exactly the same. I was like that 4 years ago, and I said, "Oh, well, the Bible's been written by some bloke. How can we trust him? This, that, and the other." So I mean, that's the attitude of everybody until they actually start reading stories. I read the Bible from the back of the Bible, from the last story, End Times, which I find is very interesting because I want to know what's going to happen in End Times, whether it's soon or whether it's in hundreds of years' time. So I started reading the Bible from the back of the Bible, which is Revelations. And then I thought, you know what, this is so interesting. And so I started reading it all from the back, right to Genesis, to the beginning. And it's like a jigsaw puzzle. It doesn't matter where you start in the Bible. But I recommend start from the back of the Bible because it's the most important thing. It's in end times. You need to know these sort of things. And that's what sort of opened my eyes up to what's going on, really, is the book of Revelation and, you know, these wars and rumors of wars and everything else that's happening at the moment. I know we've always had war, you know, for thousands of years, but, you know, it tells you exactly what it tells you.
Billions of dollars, makes billions of pounds, you know, it's the biggest.
Yeah, no, that's right. But it does say in the Bible, as soon as Jerusalem is surrounded by armies, and what's happening over in Israel at the moment, you know, they said that as soon as Russia and Russia and Iran and Turkey join forces to fight against Israel and America and Britain, because obviously Britain and America will join forces with Israel. So they said this is when the Jerusalem is being surrounded. So these stories in the Bible, Revelations, are coming true. These prophecies are coming true, and it's so exciting to delve into it, I think. And because I've done that, and I've become more interested in the spiritual realm, that's why these Sasquatch and you know, fallen angels and all sorts of things are coming into my life at the moment, or not actually you know what I'm saying, what I'm showing an interest in, because it's not like the normal worlds that I live in.
I'll have a chat with you. Sorry, Graham, I didn't see you on there, mate. Sorry. This is Graham. He's a good friend. He's a paranormal researcher. This was when somebody asked about the demonic, yeah?
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, he gets some brilliant EVPs. The first time I really met Graham was in Fort Widley. And I went along to the group I now lead investigation with Julia for, as a punter, and I didn't really say much. I said I had my own group, and I went along on my own to Fort Widley, and I was just going along to take an easy ride, and we went down to one of the tunnels, and I went, there's a copper over there, and Julia looked up and went, oh, that's good. And Graham looked up and he went, hey, really? And yeah, and his name's Dominic, and he's got silver buttons there. He's a copper, and he wants you to know he's there. Well, it turned out that Graham got some really, really good EVPs and whatever, and got the name Dominic and so forth through. So people started to take an interest in what I was there for, and I soon got rooted out, unfortunately. And I started helping people with Paranation again. You just try and give up, but sorry, Graham, I didn't see you were there, mate. There you go.
I will add to what we were finishing was that's why it's very, very important, Shane, where when all of us, my job is I like
your job. You're 14.
Well,
let's make you work.
By the way, John is gonna have to go now.
All right, John.
He's off
Thanks
now.
for coming on again, mate. John. Thanks for coming on, John. Great to see you, and hope to see you next week.
Speak to you soon, buddy. I'll see you Sunday.
Yeah, see you next week, and I'll see you at the weekend, Daniel.
Yeah, I'll see you Sunday.
Just quickly.
Bye bye.
Sorry.
Thanks, mate.
Just quickly, Darren. I'm gonna have to shoot off.
Yeah.
So I'll message you later on in the week. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to end the live now anyway, guys, because we've only done an hour extra tonight. Yes, Daniel.
Can I just mention to all our viewers, can I say a massive thank you to Joe Purdue and Amy Boo for being with us this evening. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for joining us and putting up with just everything we talk about, because I like to think, and Paul likes to think, this is a paranormal channel with a twist. We all get on, we all have a laugh, we all talk, we all debate, and everybody deserves a voice. And I'll go back very quickly to when Daniel first started messaging us. It came up in the chat. Oh, hi guys, great live. I'd like to join you sometime. I'm doing this, and we're like, oh, this bloke's really sort of like going here. And Daniel went, oh, can I call you in the week sometime? I said, yeah, of course you can. And then it became pretty apparent in the week that Daniel was actually a 14-year-old boy, and I'm a 20-odd stone, 50-year-old bloke. And in the day and age, you do have to be a little bit careful these days, don't you? And I'm like, is this kid for real? Is he like, So I was quite wary, and I said to Paul before Daniel came on the show that 5-10 minutes before, I said, that bloke that was messaging us, really good conversation last week. And unfortunately, it turns out he's a 14-year-old kid. And
unfortunately.
He went, oh dear. So
he can't remember being 14, Daniel, can he?
But he says, I said, everybody deserves a voice. Everybody deserves a voice. Let's see what he comes. And we were there 30-40 minutes, and he wouldn't shut up. But
you can't say anything about me, let alone you, Darren.
I don't know who said that. Because I've got a name up here. Good. Dora's back. Good. I hate ending the show without people. Great show, knowledge sharing, getting the knowledge out is the best. I agree with whoever's put that 101%. Who is that, Daniel?
It's Tim, I think.
Tim. Thanks, mate. Tim. I couldn't have said that better myself, mate. Honestly, that is 100%. That's a full show sorted. That.
One last thing I will say.
Yeah, definitely.
To everyone out there, both myself, Darren, and Chris and John, who was on here, are kind of starting some new great projects next year, and we are looking for
Daniel,
a name.
Sorry, mate.
We're looking for a name that involves all paranormal cryptids that explains what we are. If any of you have any names, please personal message either me, Darren, Chris, to kind of get some names in, and the releasement will be New Year's Day, January. Can't wait for it.
Or on one of the streams that you're watching this live on, or watching it recorded on, please put any comment of any name you can think of for this group. As Daniel's just said, it's got to cover paranormal, i.e. ghosts, lake monsters, land monsters, black cats, Bigfoot, swashback, yetis, UFOs, everything. Anything you can think of that's paranormal, not normal. Graham, perhaps you could think of a name, because Graham's quite good with that. If you can, put it in the comments, because all of us are monitoring each other's streams and so forth. Yeah. So with Daniel's the one that's on there the most, let's admit it. Yeah. He tells me and Chris what is happening, and me and Chris come on and go, oh yeah, we just seen that because you said.
Although I do have to put a massive shout out to Chris, because yesterday he ran the UK BRT meeting without me, and well done, mate. What done for that?
Without you. Let's be fair, Okay, I'll take it. Yeah.
Chris is a good bloke. I met him down at the conference. I thought you were, Chris, before I met you. Well, when I met you, I thought, hopefully Paul can get down if we do another one, and Dora as well. I'm lucky that I've had South Coast Go since 2007. I've had a lot of idiots on the team. And I'm lucky, mate. I've got like Paul and Dora and Luke coming along. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I'm grateful for that. And I really am grateful for that. We actually look forward to meeting up now. So,
Yeah, we do, yeah.
it's brilliant. I'm going to end the live now. If you can think of a name, guys, if you're watching this recorded, thank you so much. If you're watching it recorded, you're watching it live, please give us a like on all our channels. Please share it with like-minded people. If you've got anything that you want us to talk about next week, you want to be a guest speaker, please let one of us know or put a comment on. We do this every Monday. Yeah.
I reckon we get Bill Rigby on.
Bill, you've got to come on, mate. Paul, you are so would you, Nige, yeah? You're like Bill Rigby. He's a good bloke, and he's in the States. So Shane, you're saying, mate, it's an interesting talk.
Thank you. Thanks for listening,
mate. Mate, it's a pleasure to have you on because we are such a diverse lot, you know, as you see now. Yeah. You don't have to be anybody that's thinking of participating in the show. Shane was a little bit worried about coming on tonight. Am I right? Yeah. And you know what's going to be said and so forth and how it all folds and so forth. Don't be. Because you can't say anything wrong on this show. You just can't say it. Well, you can start getting nasty, in which case we'll kick you off. But you know what I mean? We don't have nasty people. We only have nice, friendly people.
Yeah, no, I always speak from the heart, and now
mate,
it's hard to explain.
Where you are. I know exactly where you are, right? I can see exactly where you are. You've gone through a huge wake-up process the last few years.
Oh, definitely.
Everything you thought you knew, you didn't. All of a sudden, whoa, God. Yeah,
definitely.
I see exactly where you are, mate. I've been doing what you're into now for about 25 years. So,
right. Let's tell me I've got another 30 years to go.
Well, I'm nowhere near there yet. So, yeah, you've got at least 50 years to go. Anyway,
Darren, I'm going to shoot.
Paul, as always, mate, thanks for helping.
Nice to see you all.
Cheers, bud.
We don't see you before. It's Happy New Year from us, me and Jen, and Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year, mate.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to say that. Myself and Daniel, well, I actually decided, I told Daniel, yeah. Anyway.
Really?
Christmas Day, yeah, 15 minutes. That's it, yeah. I'm going to come on. I'm going to have a glass of brandy. Daniel's coming on.
I didn't say I would be there. I did not say I would be there.
Yes, you did.
No, I did not.
Well, I said you're going to have your family behind you. They're all going to be happy.
No.
What? They're not going to be happy.
No, they will be, but
Well, they'll be there. You just said they'll be there, didn't he? See? That's
I'll be too busy. Yeah, I'll be way too busy.
What are you doing?
Daniel, you're down to do the solo version of Old Lang Syne.
That's what time it is.
Yeah.
Better learn the words, Daniel. No pressure.
Yeah.
Right, let's end the live
there. So we'll be here next week, guys. 8 o'clock. Please come and join us, share us.